This show is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not to be seen as financial advice. Before making any decision, you should consult a qualified financial advisor.
How's it, everybody? Welcome to our second episode of the Non-Fungibles. It's really great to see you back. This show brings you the very best of NFTs, the Metaverse, Web3, crypto, and this new blockchain-enabled world that is changing our lives at this exponential rate. I'm Mick Mann, one of your co-hosts for the show. It's actually been such a busy time during this fire-breathing bear market, and we're seeing so many amazing new projects and investments into the ecosystem even during this time. Google has invested over $1.5 billion into crypto projects, as well as so many of the other big tech giants. We believe it's still early days in Web3, but that we're on this exponential curve. And over the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to see such amazing growth in the metaverse, in decentralized finance applications, the decentralized economy, with hundreds of millions of people joining the ecosystem. And there are so many industries that are ripe for disruption, with many new ways to create deeper and more meaningful relationships in the metaverse by utilizing Web3 and NFTs. I know this feels very new and strange now, but in a few years, all of this will be as common as opening your favorite app or clicking on your favorite website. I'm so excited what's coming up in this next episode. Let's get into it. First, you're going to go down the rabbit hole with Lebo to hear about the latest news stories. Then we're going to go to the top Dapps with our homegirl, Cait, and then back to Lebo, who will take us through what the NFT to help us get a better understanding of this new language we're all speaking. And then I'll be chatting to Peter Xing, who's the co-founder of Transhumanism Coin and Transhumanism Australia. Make sure to stick around for Share the NFT Love. We'll be giving away some super cool merch and NFTs. And then lastly, if you want to keep learning about Web3, the metaverse, and all this good stuff, make sure to subscribe, hit that button on our page, subscribe to our YouTube page, and join our website and Discord to be eligible for IRL and NFT giveaways. Time to go down the rabbit hole. Over to you, Lebo.
Hey there guys, I'm Lebo, and here is a quick look at what's happening in Web3. Let's go. First up, we got Gnosis, which is not a type of sneeze, nor is it anything to sneeze at. Gnosis Safe is a smart contract wallet running on Ethereum that requires a minimum number of people to approve a transaction before it can actually occur. This assures that no single person, not one single person, can compromise the funds. It's a multi-signature wallet, which means you need multiple signatures to approve any transaction. They've done some incredible work on safeguarding their success in the launch of its DAO. Oh, by the way, DAO means Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Got that all in one. Gnosis Safe has plans to airdrop 50 million Safe tokens to thousands of Safe wallets. Hey yo, give me some of that money, honey. Make it rain. Next up, we have Animoca Brands, Asia's biggest investor in blockchain projects. Animoca has a vast portfolio of over 340 gaming, social media, and even financial companies. Yatsui is leading this incredible company and wants to give people ownership of their virtual and digital assets, and is driving investment during this crypto cold. In other news, Ukraine has raised more than $54 million as Bitcoin and Ethereum donations pour in to support the war against Russia. This is what we mean when we say crypto can change the world. Or are you still sleeping on this? Anyway, they use the money for drones, laptops, medicines, fuels, helmets, and all sorts of things that can assist them in the war. The Ukrainian government and Come Back Alive, an NGO which is aiding the military, also received a single donation of $5.8 million from Gavin Wood, the founder of a lesser-known cryptocurrency called Polkadot. Additionally, Ethereum's Russian-born co-founder, Vitalik Buterin, donated $5 million to Ukraine relief earlier this year in April. On to our next story. The site Tornado Cash, which has a protocol that allows users to use crypto mixes and attain privacy, has been sanctioned by the US government. As they claim, 35% of the activity is used for money laundering. One of the lead developers was arrested and the open source code was taken off GitHub. This has raised so many talks about the First Amendment, about free speech, so there's a lot going on in the US. And lastly, some mega crane news from the Bored Ape Yacht Club, where a mega mutant was sold for 2,300 ETH. Oh, by the way, that's $3.9 million. Begging the question, if it isn't a picture of a monkey, is it really an NFT?
Monkey.
This was a private transaction, so we have no idea who it was actually sold to. But here's to hoping it goes to a loving family where this mutant and its brothers can have as much pizza as they want with their rat dad in peace. That's all I've got for you this week, folks. Cait, what's happening that side with the Dapps?
Hey there, folks, it's Cait with What's the Haps with the Dapps, keeping you updated with all the latest innovations in the Web3 world, curated by us. So here's a cool one, Uniswap, and no, it hasn't got anything to do with swinging. I already checked. Uniswap is a decentralized finance protocol that's used to exchange cryptocurrencies and tokens. The protocol facilitates automated transactions between crypto tokens and the Ethereum blockchain using smart contracts. You can swap, earn, and build in a decentralized platform, and Uniswap has done over 1.1 trillion in volume. Yes. So the Uniswap token enables community ownership and active stewardship over the protocol, and Uni holders can govern the protocol through an on-chain governance process, proving that there are no evil dapps, just evil people. Uniswap's code can also be forked. A project fork happens when developers take a copy of some source code from one software package and start independent research and development on it, creating a new and distinct piece of software. Like the times of the spork, so are the days of our lives. Number 2, Aave. Aave is a decentralized non-custodial liquidity market protocol where users can participate as depositors or borrowers. After depositing, you will earn passive income based on the market and borrowing demand. But be careful, because Aave does not yet have a downloadable mobile app yet. And if you do see one on offer, burn the sage and get out your protecting crystals, because it's a scam. Number 3, Illuvium. Illuvium is an open-world exploration NFT creature collection and battle game built on the Ethereum blockchain and is releasing on PC and Mac this year, 2022. You can play to earn in this graphically sci-fi rich world where you can help your crash-landed crew to flourish, like Lost but with a better ending. And honestly, this trailer looks sick. It's like if Arcane met the Croods and they had a baby with Wreck-It Ralph. I'm here for that, love child. Lastly, we have the Graph. The Graph is an indexing protocol for querying networks like Ethereum and IPFS. And anyone can build and publish open APIs, making data easily accessible. I thought API stood for the indeed. So think of the Graph like Google but for blockchain, where through indexing, you can search and get rich data from different blockchains. API stands for Application Programming Interface. And what it is basically a piece of technology that allows two different systems to talk to each other. Kind of like men and women learning to understand each other through mutual interests like anime or the weather. And there you have it. I'm going to hand things over to Mick, who's ready with our guest of the week. Take it away.
Thanks so much for that, Cait. Time to move on to the main segment of tonight's show, where we get to chat to Peter Xing, who's a dear friend, and we got a lot of history through our Singularity University adventures. Peter is the co-founder of Transhumanism Coin and Transhumanism Australia, and works as a digital and data solutions lead at KPMG on transformation initiatives in AR, automation, and the Metaverse. Peter is a Singularity Group Expert on Transhumanism and Emerging Technologies, as well as part of the advisory committee at Wavio. And then also, I'm proud to say that Transhumanism Coin is an early settler in Ubuntu land and busy building out their village. Peter, great to be with you today, all the way from Australia.
Thanks so much, Vic. Yeah, it's awesome to be here.
Tell us a little bit about this concept of transhumanism and the transhumanism movement. I think it's, some people get quite bewildered by the name and by the concept. Do you want to break it down for us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, transhumanism is such a loaded term, but it's really a movement that's been around since the 70s. After we had the moon landing, everyone was looking to the future around what sci-fi could be created into, reality. And essentially the movement looks at how do we increase our healthy lifespan? How do we transcend the limitations of our human biology through science and technology? And the people really just want to live longer and healthier, and also looking at accelerating artificial intelligence so that we could one day merge with AI, looking at brain-computer interfaces and uploading our consciousness to the cloud, digital immortality. And so all these science fiction types of concepts are now becoming more and more tangible as these breakthroughs in medicine and in material science. And we see projects like Neuralink from Elon Musk starting to really push those boundaries of merging AI with our understanding of the brain. And ultimately, it's all about how do we improve well-being for everyone to also make sure no one gets left behind, that the technology is being used for good and the well-being of humanity. And that's where we look at things like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, creating universal basic income. And that's why cryptocurrency, which is a movement that we've got right now with Transhuman Coin, sort of tries to bridge that gap to make it all come to real.
I love it. It's what's really great is that it's got so much positivity built into it, and it's really looking at the future from a scientific point of view, and how do we make people's lives better through science and through technology. And I mean, all of those things you just mentioned, there's so much we can dive into. Maybe let's just talk a bit about human longevity and improving our lifespan. What are some of the things you're seeing at the moment that are really exciting you in the space?
Yeah, man, I love the fact that with human longevity, it's something that everyone is going to be able to have to essentially go through, right? Healthy lifespans, improving not only as you age, but also making sure that we age gracefully and healthily. There's been trials now done on mice, but also going through human clinical trials of certain drugs, like using NAD to essentially remove things like senescent cells out of our bodies, and looking at these precursors to things that fix our cells as they replicate. And those drugs are actually enhancing and increasing the healthy lifespan by 30% in these mice. And I'm really excited to see these projects that are doing human clinical trials now to accelerate that research. And we're seeing technologies like CRISPR gene editing to really look at not only a whole genome sequencing around understanding what our DNA does, but really being able to edit that to cure genetic diseases, but eventually find ways to transcend those limitations of our human biology of bridging that gap that we currently have of around 120 or so years. So really exciting technology for human longevity, and it's only going to get better from here.
I mean, also, I've been following a lot of Dave Sinclair, and I just recently read his book Lifespan. It's pretty amazing to think about the fact that you can actually start working towards reversing your aging, and there's multiple ways of doing that. And he talks about this drug. I think it's called RNM. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, and yeah, that's right, and NMN as well. NMM.
That's what it's NMN. And NMM actually it's been around since the 2017s, around that, so a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's he thinks it definitely reverses your aging.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the sort of the human clinical trials right now. And, it's great that he takes that himself as well. Like it's sort of, he's a biohacker in that sense. And, there's already sort of a group of biohackers that are documenting how they're experiencing on this, NMN, the precursor to NAD, boosting the sort of the ability for our cells to clean every time they replicate. And that's sort of really seeing, I'm on that as well. And I see.
Are you taking NMN? Are you taking
it? That's right.
Oh, wow. You are looking a bit younger. I thought you were looking a bit younger.
That's right. It's either the Asian genes, and I'm sure we can edit into others as well, but also taking some of this as well. But yeah, I think that evidence-based approach to it, getting more and more of these trials, in the works. But the fact that he's at Harvard University, also an Australian at the University of New South Wales, these are sort of things that really brings the credibility to this entire movement. And you got the likes of Aubrey de Grey, who my co-founder Charles Wuzu was meeting also over in Sun City in South Africa.
Wow.
Essentially, he's also looking at the holistic approaches to human longevity. So, what are the causes of aging? Not just at the cellular level, as we biodegrade, senescence, these zombie cells in our bodies, trying to remove them is another approach. And also, modern science and modern healthcare replacing various parts of our bodies that might have broken down, whether that's organs, transplantation, being able to genetically engineer, pigs, for example, to help replace that and do liver transplants for humans. Like, these are the sort of things that I think going towards the last mile, right, of trying to extend that lifespan as we come up across these issues. Modern technology will get better and better and try to find ways to sort of improve that process.
Yeah, I mean, just so that everyone knows, Aubrey de Grey is probably one of the leading experts in extending our lifespan. And he came up with the term longevity escape velocity, that point when we are gaining a year on our life expectancy every year, ultimately, allowing us to live indefinitely, and then replacing our parts with his sense system he's working on. And he's got this long beard. He almost looks like Father Christmas. Quite an interesting character.
Yeah, definitely got the Lord of the Rings vibes, and I think it's great to being able to sort of see him, working with the whole transhumanist community. We had Dr. Natasha Vidamore there, who's been there since the start of the movement, right? And she was there in Sun City working with also Jose and Cordero.
I saw Jose.
Yeah.
He's also part of our Singularity alumni. Yes.
Yeah, it's just an amazing community, and the fact that sort of there's such a mission-driven approach to this, that everyone wants to be, bring this movement, and now bring this movement and spread it in Africa through Transhuman Coin is something that's really rewarding. It feels like it's happening all here.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And moving a little bit onto now Transhuman Coin, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what is Transhuman Coin? What are you trying to do with it? What's the mission? How does it work?
Yeah, sure. It's so when we were doing transhumanism locally here, we were trying to find ways to get traction for the community. It started off as just meetup groups and educating people about the latest and greatest in science and technology that accelerated the movement. But we found that we wanted to be able to fund these types of projects directly, and we couldn't find a way to actually do that without just these meetups. So the best way we looked at the time was actually having a token dedicated to the transhumanism movement. And back in 2017, there was the whole ICO craze, and we thought about doing it then, but the technology and the toolkits weren't quite readily available. So it was last year, about a year ago now, that the toolkits were quite well done. And working with my co-founder, Dr. Charles Wuzu, who's a cybersecurity expert, we actually essentially created Transhuman Coin for the movement. It was a fair launch, really, on the Binance Smart Chain at the time, the BNB chain. And it was something really simple for people to get on board with. The tokenomics was that every transaction on Transhuman Coin, 2% would go to all the holders, including a fund wallet that essentially the scientific advisory board oversees, and be able to fund the research into it. So we've been able to fund the likes of lifespan.io, which is a crowdfunding platform for longevity projects that David Sinclair has used, and Aubrey de Grey and all the others have been looking to fund these animal trials and human clinical trials. We've also funded the likes of Abby by GoGo Tech, which is an electronic wheelchair company that's trying to help the disabled access cheap and affordable wheelchairs that eventually become autonomous. So autonomous personal vehicles that will also have open standards for integration of how to control those wheelchairs, and which means that we'll be able to embed things like brain-computer interfaces to control those wheelchairs on these sort of new mode of transport for personal devices. And there's a whole bunch of other projects, funding things like longevity type films to spread the awareness around, we could be the last generation to die. There's some amazing projects out there that we really love to talk more about.
I mean, it's so exciting just to hear that, and the burst of positive impact that's going to come out of these projects is just extraordinary. Just touching on one of those things you just mentioned, the last generation to die. I mean, that's quite a crazy concept to think that we could all be part of this last generation and live, indefinitely. And, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, being at a crossroads for an entire generation, think how unlucky or lucky we could be, right? It's sort of, being that sort of a crossroads, because Tim Morpin, the film director, he's done an amazing job in all this, like the longevity film festivals. He created this a short documentary called Kids and Longevity, and it basically asked lots of young kids around, how long do you think people should live? And most of them all said, well, if I had a choice, I'd live forever, right? But as we get older, that sort of myth gets busted out of us, because we know, we keep getting told that the natural stages of life is that you're born, you grow up, you might have some kids, and then you're meant to just, pass away, right? Grow old and pass away. And that's sort of the natural way of things. But science and technology has got to the point where we can challenge that narrative. And that's what his films are looking to do. How do we actually strive to use science and technology to challenge what we're accepting in society today?
Fascinating. Yeah. Imagine living to 1,000 years old, and all the things that you could do, and the amount of knowledge you can learn and experience, and the impact you can make on humanity and the universe and the evolution of human beings. It's really a great time to be alive.
That's amazing, right? And just having the option to do that, it feels like death is such a forced thing, right? It's sort of like no choice given to it. And even if you're in a healthy state, you want to be healthy and living indefinitely until you choose to, up to your own will, to call it quits. It's a snooze button.
Yeah, and I mean, what happens if you have a sort of an accident and you pass away? Would you be able to upload your consciousness to a sort of a backup place, and then if something happens to you, you could reload your consciousness into another being or something like that? Or do you just live in the digital world?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, this is sort of stuff that the altered carbon type explored, where they had backup copies and upload, that's right, from Amazon Prime. And these sort of things that people, every time people hear about it, they're like, oh, it's only going to be available for the billionaires. But you look at technology today, it's that law of accelerating returns, as we all hear from Ray Kurzweil as part of Singularity University. This technology will become more and more available and abundant. And so if you think about those technologies to have backups for everyone, right? It's that's the sort of things that we should be asking as a human right to. And not only as we merge closer and closer with AI to decipher what is consciousness in the first place, that's going to open up those possibilities for us to have those backups and prevent, and firstly also autonomous cars that hopefully will mitigate a lot of those accidents as well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the huge ethical debate around all of this, and lots of work for humans to do to work out and play out these different scenarios, and it's going to be an exciting couple of decades to come for sure. And it's amazing to hear that it's enabled by this transhumanism coin. You've got something more like how many holders do you have at the moment? You've got thousands of transhumanism holders.
Yeah, we've got about 15,000 holders right now, and a lot of them are in Africa. I mean, a lot of them are in Nigeria and South Africa, and this is why we sort of funded also the TAFD conference called Gen 4 IR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution generation, and Sun City. And that's the sort of the projects that we really want to spread awareness. And it was great to be able to see the crypto first community come together with the transhuman first community, right? It's sort of merging of these concepts. And I think cryptocurrency and Web3 really has that sort of notion of, this decentralization, this concept of, individual ownership and privacy and sense of all of that sort of decentralized web, the notion that Vitalik and also, the early days of the Bitcoin, early adopters as well, and Hal Finney. So Web3 is really, I think, a platform for transhumanists to really spread the message and connect the world.
Maybe we should just quickly touch on where you see the state of the market at the moment. I mean, it's been, there's been a lot of fiery bears out there, for us, it's really about the underlying technology, looking at the long term, and where do you see things at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's an evolving technology and it's gone through these hype cycles and, these crypto winters. But I feel like these are the best times to build. We saw from the last winter in 2017, the toolkits that weren't available back then are available today. And I feel like that mainstream adoption is continuing to gather steam as all the major brands essentially have these NFT projects to create additional revenue streams, but also create a lot of customer loyalty. So they're finding those use cases and finding product market fit in these days. As the initial hype also created that bubble, but also it created the knowledge and transparency and adoption and understanding of the tech. So the Gartner hype cycle is really true on this, and I feel like we're continuing to go on that wave. What's going to be really exciting as we have, the merge coming up as well. That's also continual evolution of the tech, trying to find product market fit to scale, and it's going to bring in more institutional adoption, of the underlying tech, because people will be able to build on Ethereum more, using Polygon, using other layers through, other subchains of Polygon network. We're seeing at the ultimate ways of tracking individual assets, all goods and services, right? Essentially could become NFTs and tied to those real world assets. Working at KPMG, knowing these sort of things around what we do as an audit service, right? All of that should be attested for on the public blockchain. You don't need someone verifying these on a, spreadsheet or database or ticking and bashing a lot of things. The blockchain does that for you. And so ultimately, it's getting those ecosystem on board. And I feel like we've still got a long way to go, but those use cases will just become piling up, and sure thing will take over the world as well.
Awesome. So you sound pretty bullish there. I would say that's a bullish sound, and very positive about the future. And I totally agree with you. It's about really the tools and all the different applications that are built in these winters. Out of the ashes, you see all these incredible new products and use cases that people can actually engage with. So it's a very exciting space. And I want to do, we are running out of time. So just very quickly to touch on Transhumanism coin is coming into Ubuntu land. You are, an early settler. Do you want to just tell us why you guys wanted to, buy a village and what are you planning on building?
We actually want to facilitate for a lot of our holders in Africa to, have a metaverse presence as well. We're also working with the likes of Ethereum and IoTex to bring their digital identity and their health data into a single avatar. So Ethereum is creating soul-bound NFTs that represent their digital data that could be either healthcare data or anything else, but in a private and secure way. So that's essentially the whole notion of Web3 is to get away from these big tech companies owning all your data. You're now able to do that in a secure and private way and monetize that as well through your avatar. And we want people to be able to socialize with their avatars in these metaverse worlds. So Ubuntu Land is perfect for this. They'll be able to participate in the entire ecosystem, all the events that you guys are running, be able to also have all the different customizations for wearables. Then this is something that we've been looking to get all our NFT holders from THC NASA as well. Airdropping them the equivalent of the Ethereum NFTs into Ubuntu Land and having them to have a social presence. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting all the different tribes and villages together as well.
Awesome. Well, likewise, we're equally as excited. And, just to end off, we have run out of time. Where could people find more about Transhumanism coin? How do you learn more about the space, get involved? Where should they go?
Yeah, go to transhumancoin.finance and join our Telegram by Transhuman Coin. You can find out more about transhumanism at transhumanism.com.au, and feel free to find me on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter. That's Peter Xing, and we really are grateful that you have taken part in this episode, and we'll be announcing soon, when the Transhumanism Village will be going live. So, Peter, thanks so much, and have a great evening in Australia.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot, Mick.
So here we take the time to teach our newbies some lingo for the metaverse and the NFT world. It's an ever-evolving dictionary as the industry is growing and blooming every day. Let's do some NFT definitions, shall we? The first one that we have for you is DYOR. This is just short and simple for do your own research. It is always the smart idea to do your own research before investing in any assets. It's important to do some research and get some much needed education as you can do and make the best decision for yourself. We do not offer professional advice, folks. So, as the term says, do your own research.
Yes, master.
So the next one we have for you is simple, NFT. For those who don't know, NFT stands for Non-Fungible Token. Now you know where our name comes from. It's generally built using the same kind of programming as cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but that's where the similarities end. Physical money and cryptocurrency are fungible, meaning they can be replicated or replaced by an identical item. Whereas the NFT, which is non-fungible, means it is unique or a part of an infinite set or a collection. This allows for true digital ownership and changes everything about our digital lives. And the last one I'm going to give you for today is called Web3. Now, Web3 is an idea for a new iteration of the World Wide Web, which incorporates the concepts such as decentralization, blockchain technologies, and token-based economies. Let me give you a bit of a breakdown. So Web 1 was about the information economy, and we saw the rise of Google and Yahoo, etc. And then Web 2 came along, and it was all about the platform economy. So we saw the likes of Facebook and Uber, Airbnb, all of those come into the world and take over. However, Web 3 is an evolution of Web 2. We'd like to think of it as a decentralization economy, where the power of distribution is between the users who take part in the network. Well, that's all the WTF I have for you this week, folks. Let's go over to Cait and see what TikTok elements you've been slipping on this week.
Facts of TikTok, Part 4. Did you know that the dildo was invented 22,000 years before the wheel?
Priorities.
Mr. Elvis Presley.
Trailers were called trailers because they were shown after the main feature of a film, trailing it. Here's an example of a great one. Fun fact about polar bears you probably didn't know. Polar bears have black skin and their fur isn't actually white. It's see-through, so it appears white as it reflects light. And I'll admit, that's pretty sick.
Okay.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed.
Now it's time to share the NFT Love, my favorite part of the show. For the past few weeks, we hosted a land drop game where you could win some virtual real estate in Ubuntu land. But dry those eyes, because we got some giveaways for you. But if you missed out, don't stress. If you sign up on our Discord, you will be automatically entered into our weekly raffle to win some awesome prizes every week. Let's have a look at this week's winners. Congratulations to all our winners and welcome to Ubuntu Land. For those of you who missed out, go get involved, join on our Discord, and you might even strike it lucky. That's all we have for this week, guys. See you next week.